Hello everyone, welcome to the Anime Recap Media YouTube channel. Please like the video, subscribe to help our channel and enjoy this full video.
Alto Goldfield is a first-year student at the Ortigia Royal Academy of Magic. He has perfect grades except on his summoning exam, due to which he is facing the risk of being held back in the first year. He receives an extension for a day to try and acquire a familiar to carry out various school activities as a second-year student. His friend Lilia Coldafite is quite concerned about him and offers to help him with this task. Following the instructions in an old summoning book that Alto came across in the library, he executes a magic circle in a desperate attempt to contract with a familiar. Surprising himself, he realizes that he has managed to summon a completely unclothed and voluptuous demon girl. When he expresses his desire to have a familiar, a contract is successfully formed. Introducing herself as Vermeil, she goes ahead and plants a deep and passionate kiss onto Alto to seal their contract and ends up partially draining his mana. After a shy Alto asks Vermeil to get some clothes on, she borrows a skimpy dress from him that belongs to his sister. Having noticed the strong mana that Alto possesses, Vermeil solves the mystery of why he has never been successful in summoning a familiar. She explains that most creatures would choose to stay away from such potent mana. The next day at the academy, Alto presents Vermeil disguised as a human to be his familiar and is granted permission to advance to the next year. However, seeing Vermeil with Alto leaves Lilia mighty jealous. Unfortunately, this is just the start of Alto's troubles, as Vermeil and her very shapely figure demand the attention of almost every guy in Alto's class. Despite wanting to stay away from attention, Alto runs into trouble after school with a 5th-year dragon rider, Rex Forward. With some help from Vermeil, Alto releases his all-powerful golden mana and stuns Rex into accepting defeat. Back home, Alto is wondering about how he came to cast the golden mana spell when Vermeil interrupts by asking him about his aim in life. He shares that he wishes to reach the level of magic that is above the general hierarchy of apprentice, bronze squares, silver squares, and gold squares. While admitting that the bronze square level is already difficult to attain, he wants to surpass all these levels and become the most elite of the gold squares, who are recognized as platinum squares. A few days later, Alto, Vermeil, and Lilia, along with fellow second-year students Marks Paxton and Cheryl Iridescence, are discussing their senior Rex and the group he's part of, the Dragon Riders. Marks informs them that the captain and founder of this group, Chris Westland, is not only a top student and a member of the student council, but one of only 7 golden squares at the academy, which grabs Alto's attention. Later in the shower, Alto is thinking back to how cool it was to see the council members that day. His thoughts are cut short when he is startled by Vermeil's presence. Meanwhile, Rex is ousted from the Dragon Riders for his defeat at Alto's hands, but not for being injured by the captain, Chris, who is now intrigued by Alto. Troubled by Rex's unfair banishment, Alto challenges Chris to a duel. A deep and passionate kiss from Vermeil releases Alto's golden mana. This results in Chris having to bring her A-game, aided by her strong and mighty dragon familiar. An intense battle ensues during which Chris's misplaced beliefs of superiority are revealed. Just because her familiar is a high-flying dragon, she views herself as better than everyone else and justifies her trampling on people and looking down on them. Taking up the challenge to prove her wrong, Alto admits his golden mana with Vermeil's help and aims his ice crystals towards Chris's fireballs. Using the crystals that Alto released, Vermeil carries him up to where Chris is mounted on her dragon, much to her surprise. In the end, Alto and Vermeil defeat her and prove to her that her condescending views were wrong, much to the delight of the entire student body. When the magic history teacher, Professor Obsidian, hears about the duel, he approaches Alto. While Alto is worried about getting into trouble for challenging a senior to a duel, the teacher just advises him not to be overenthusiastic with his heroic acts. Elsewhere, a trouble of the heart seems to be brewing between Chris and Rex. When Chris offers Rex an apology, he just grabs the broom from her and continues the chores she should be doing as the loser of the duel with Alto. Later that night, when Alto is asleep, Vermeil sees her chance and kisses him. Startled awake, Alto notices that she doesn't have a thread of cloth on her. Asking her to wear some clothes, he tells her that she should only kiss the person she truly loves. She cheekily whispers in his ear that she does indeed love him. Confused over Vermeil's confession the night before, Alto asks Professor Obsidian about whether love can exist between a human and a demon. The professor tells Alto of old folktales where demons have managed to influence humans, but in these instances, the demons were more interested in the human's mana than anything else. This causes nothing but more confusion for poor Alto. Wanting to clarify this with Vermeil, Alto asks her over dinner if she is with him just for his mana. In reply, Vermeil plants a sweet kiss on him without draining his mana to prove her feelings for him. At the academy one day, Professor Obsidian injects a student with a mysterious potion. The next day at the student council office, Vice President Ryuga Shinoji is discussing with fellow council member Jessica Schwartz about a student found in a coma in the dormitories. This student is revealed to be 4th year Silver Square Emma Abeline, and is sadly the 4th student in a year to have gone into a coma and, strangely, also the 3rd Silver Square. As it turns out, Emma is the student that Professor Obsidian had objected the mysterious substance. Elsewhere, one of Rex's friends comes along looking for Alto, asking for his help with Rex, who seems to have gone rogue and somehow become way too strong. When Vermeil and Alto get to where Rex is, they find Chris there beaten and thoroughly weakened by Rex's assault. Just as Alto decides to set things right, the president of the student council, Elena Kimberlite, wields the judgment sword on Rex and declares a punishment for him. Vermeil notices something strange about Rex's mana, but doesn't divulge her thoughts to anyone. 3 days later, the student council convenes to discuss the incident, which has now left Rex in a coma and made him the 5th victim of this strange attack. In a fit of anger, Chris suddenly walks out of the meeting. Meanwhile, the Bronze Square certification exam is looming for second-year students at the academy. When Vermeil informs Alto that she needs to rest for a while, Lilia practically drools at the prospect of finally getting some alone time with Alto. Unknown to everyone, Vermeil is on a mission. She wants to figure out the reason for Rex's sudden strength and strange mana. She runs into Professor Obsidian and realizes that he is up to no good. She subtly warns him to stop meddling with the power that she could sense in him because she knew it wasn't something a human can handle. This makes Obsidian realize that Vermeil is a demon of the highest level, and he cunningly injects her with his strange potion. At this very moment, Alto senses Vermeil is in trouble and rushes to her rescue, closely followed by Lilia. Thanks to crazy Mr. Obsidian, who now controls her, Vermeil has transformed into her true and fearsome demon form. When Alto lays eyes on Vermeil, he is shocked. Proud of his achievements, Professor Obsidian decides to come clean. He explains to Alto and Lilia how difficult his task of creating a madness-induced potion was. He also admits that he is the person responsible for all the attacks on the students that resulted in their coma, and this leaves Alto infuriated. Meanwhile, Elena, who is attempting to reach Alto to help him, is intercepted by a paper golem that appears to be deliberately stopping her from rendering any assistance to Alto. Back to the evil professor and Alto, things take a sudden turn. Vermeil, who was earlier under the control of Professor Obsidian, appears to have broken free from his control and attacks him. But Alto deliberately gets in the way and takes the hit in the professor's stead to save him. While this simple act of kindness brings Vermeil to her senses, it also causes Alto to pass out. Vermeil then heals Alto with a kiss and proclaims her love for him once again. Angry about having lost a true demon in Vermeil, Professor Obsidian objects himself with his potion and turns into a hybrid demon. However, his antics come to a grinding halt after Vermeil's powerful strike causes him to start disintegrating. If that wasn't enough, Chris and her dragon familiar also join the fight. Later, when Alto regains consciousness, Vermeil apologizes to Alto for having hit him by mistake. He tries to convince her that she has nothing to apologize for, but is stunned into silence when Vermeil tells him that both she and he are now one. She explains that Alto had survived because she had given him her mana when she kissed him. Hence, the heart in him now is the heart of a true demon, which also means that they will now live and die together. Alto realizes that in doing so, Vermeil had reduced her lifespan to that of a human life because once he dies, she would too. And this is the lengths she is willing to go just so that Alto could live. Over the next few days, Alto notices that Vermeil's behavior towards him had changed. When he questions her, she admits her fear that she had scared him after he had witnessed her true demon form. This time, Alto initiates a kiss as a show of his love for her. In a change of scene, a bunch of platinum squares is revealed to be conspiring together to attack the top students of the academy. This sinister group includes Iolite, whose platinum square was revoked. One day, the student council barges into Alto's class with Elena declaring that they have to take Alto into custody. Vermeil then accompanies him to the council office. Surprisingly, Elena starts by apologizing to Alto as she felt responsible for his injury during the episode with Professor Obsidian, as she couldn't get to him in time. She then explains that they were trying to find out who sent the paper golem to stop her from reaching Alto during the drama that unfolded. She further informs Alto that Professor Obsidian had escaped from prison the day before. Alto is then asked to let the council know if he had any information about the events that happened and not to hide anything. In the spirit of honesty, Alto tells the truth about Vermeil being a demon. He then indicates his willingness to be expelled by the academy if his familiar being a demon or his having a demon heart is an issue. But Elena assures him that the council accepts all familiars as equal, as it is also the school policy. Jessica begins to argue about this, but is quickly shut down by Elena, saying that if ever Vermeil turns out to be dangerous, they would only have to get rid of Alto and the danger would be gone. To his surprise, Elena invites Alto to join the student council. Later on, Vermeil warns Alto to be cautious about Elena because she picked up some strange non-human vibes from her when they were talking to her earlier. And Vermeil is not wrong, because right at that moment, Elena, who is in a church, is deviously happy about having found out about Vermeil's identity as a demon. That evening, while thinking about how he could learn everything he can from the council to one day surpass them, Alto opens the door to the council office, only to find Chris, Elena, and Jessica in various states of undress. Elena ignores Jessica's demand to dismiss Alto from the council because of a peekaboo incident and instead goes ahead with the council's agenda for the meeting. She brings up the paper golem that attempted to stop her from helping Alto during his encounter with Professor Obsidian and asks everyone to study it and share any knowledge they might have. Elena believes that the magic controlling the golem cannot be found in any records, and even the gold squares at the Academy are not able to recognize it. Therefore, she suspects that the enemy might be a platinum square. Meanwhile, in the den of the rogue platinum squares, Iolite and her companion Heliodor meet another member of their team, Kohakumiya, and it appears that Kohakumiya has a major weapon in her possession, a ferocious and massive monster. At the Academy, the day of the bronze certification exam has finally arrived. Both excited and nervous, the students head to their designated place to begin the practical aspect of their exam, where their proctor, Colonel Pharynx of the Royal Mage Corps, notoriously known for being demonic, is waiting. He explains that the mana-supplying abilities of all the candidates will be judged and scored based on how much mana they can provide to the flame in the crystal behind him. Everyone is relieved upon hearing that the practical test is so easy, but as student after student fail to bring out any change in the flame, the difficulty of the test becomes evident. Lilia realizes that everyone is concentrating on providing mana to the crystal and not directly to the flame, so she switches strategy and focuses on the flame instead. Cheryl also does well, and Marks just about manages to scrape by with a passing score. As the final test taker, Alto figures out that the crystal is embedded with magic and that there are strategic locations on the crystal that make the transferring of mana to the flame easier. Despite knowing that the best location on the sphere to reach the flame directly would be on the back of the crystal, he still chooses to aim his mana at the side of the crystal, where such transfer of mana would be the most difficult, but Vermeil's mana easily magnifies the flame, ensuring that Alto aces the test with a perfect score, while also completely shattering the crystal. After a break, it is time for the written test to begin. He notices that the seat next to him is empty, and just then a student comes and takes the seat. Unbeknownst to Alto, this is none other than ex-Platinum Square, Iolite, who has taken the place of another student. Once the test begins, he is shocked to see that his neighbor is dozing off instead of doing the test, but Alto decides to focus on the test and pays no attention to the sleeping student. While going through his answers later, Alto realizes that the difficulty level of the test seems to be higher than what would be needed for a bronze square. Just then, Iolite finishes his nap and starts doing the test with barely any time left. As he's zooming through his test, something he says catches Alto's attention. "Not like anyone's going to finish the test today." Right on time, the test gets disrupted by the news of a student found dead in the washroom. When the invigilator of the test realizes that Iolite has taken the place of the student, Iolite creates an explosion and all hell breaks loose. Sensing trouble, Vermeil rushes in and attacks Iolite, but he manages to defend himself, surprising Alto. Colonel Pharynx then informs Alto that Iolite is the youngest Platinum Square. When the students are evacuated, an intense battle rages amongst Iolite, Colonel Pharynx, Alto, and Vermeil. Meanwhile, despite wanting to help, Lilia, Cheryl, and Marks cannot go back inside, as they are prevented by a strong transference magic wielded by someone unknown. When Iolite manages to trap Vermeil, it angers Alto, who has vowed to protect her. Enraged, he emits his golden mana, which Iolite recognizes as demon mana. But Alto's mana suddenly changes to silver, and he manages to free Vermeil from the bonds keeping her restrained. While Vermeil appears to be shocked to see Alto's silver mana, Iolite seems to have figured out something about Alto's origins through his mana, something which nobody else has noticed. When Alto attempts to attack Iolite, he gets pinned by a black knight that Iolite summoned. Iolite then declares that he wants to destroy the world using Vermeil's demon power. He follows up with an attack on Vermeil using chains, rendering her unconscious. Just then, the Mage of Beginnings appears from the book that Alto had used to summon Vermeil. The mage explains that she had trapped Vermeil in the book and also buried a part of herself in it to prepare for a moment like this. She also shares that it was Vermeil who had requested to be sealed in the book, and right now, Vermeil's trauma is what is keeping her trapped in her own memories. When Alto declares that he will stand by Vermeil no matter what, the mage brings him into the world of Vermeil's memories. She warns Alto that while time in the mind means nothing in the physical world, should he fail to save Vermeil, he will forever remain trapped in her memories. In Vermeil's memories, Alto observes the young Vermeil truly happy with her church family, a nun, a cook, and 2 other orphans. While the nun loved and cared for Vermeil despite knowing she is a demon, the same cannot be said for the others. Vermeil's bad memories begin when she gets bullied by children in the neighborhood, whom one day notices her horns, which she usually kept carefully hidden. Things escalated when the entire town began demanding Vermeil's departure, and got even worse when deaths caused by the plague are blamed on her. In an attempt to save Vermeil from the wrath of the town, the cook tearfully suggests that she runs away and that the rest of the family will catch up with her soon. When she overhears the townspeople planning to torture her family to get information about her whereabouts, she realizes that even if she manages to escape, her family would be facing grave danger. She immediately starts running back toward her home, only to find that she was too late, as the townspeople had gotten there before her and killed everyone. Her anger and sadness upon witnessing this tragedy caused her to destroy the entire town. The mage proceeds to ask Alto whether he would choose to cherish Vermeil even after knowing the extent of her power and the truth of her past. Finally understanding the suffering Vermeil had endured, Alto pledges to always be with her. While he embraces the young Vermeil, she changes to become the present-day Vermeil and confesses that she has always been scared of people finding out the truth about her, but Alto promises her that she will never be lonely again. When they kiss, the power of their love finally breaks the metal chains of guilt she has been living with, and the two return to the physical world where Iolite is waiting. When he sees Alto and Vermeil return, Iolite challenges them to a final battle. Much to Iolite's shock, the combined efforts and mana of Alto and Vermeil allow them to obliterate his complicated mechanism of destruction. Just when Iolite is about to launch another attack, he is stopped by the abrupt entrance of Colonel Pharynx and the Platinum Square that prevented help from getting to Alto and Vermeil. She informs Iolite that the battle has to end and she leaves, taking him along with her. The Mage of Beginnings appears again and warns Alto of people turning against him in the future because of his decision to be with Vermeil. Alto in turn promises Vermeil that he will become stronger so that he can continue to protect her. The Mage entrusts Vermeil to Alto and disappears. True to his word, Alto takes every opportunity to train with Jessica and Chris to strengthen himself. While in bed with Alto one night, Vermeil thanks him for accepting her and lets him know that her heart has been racing ever since he confessed his love to her.
How was the video? We hope it was good. If so, please check these videos. Also, please comment down your thoughts and your suggestions for future videos. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing now to show the support to our channel. We hope to see you soon with another video right in this channel. Have a nice day.